New hearing for 1 Wall Street as advertised. Please come up and give us an example, and a brief overview of your project.
I have some photocopies.
Do you need more drawings, or do you have?
I think we all, it's what was submitted.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we all have it.
Okay, hi, I'm Eric Merlis from Madison, Connecticut. I'm the sign installer, and she is, I'll let her introduce herself, then I'll take that.
Hi, I'm Anna Jones. I am the Senior Office Administrator at the Qualcomm office at 1 Wall Street.
Okay, so I'm the installer for this, where Qualcomm has rebranded themselves with a new logo, a new font and color worldwide, and this is keeping in the same. They would like to, at this location, they've already done all their interior work, all their interior signage matches the font and color. As you can see in the photos there is the existing up in the top left, which shows a 3-foot height blue letter, where they would like to change to the white, which is what they all are, but to increase in height from 3 foot to 3'6". Just because it is such a large building, they would like to go up into 6 inches height for their uppercase Q.
All right. Adam, you want to start? Any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
John?
Nothing right now.
Brenda?
Pretty straightforward.
Jim?
I'm sorry, what size is the existing sign?
Existing is 3-foot height Q. 36 inches is the Q now, and they would like to go to 3'6", 42 inches. So it's going to increase by 6 inches, just the Q that is, obviously, where the rest are lowercase except for the L. But on the lowercase letters, I mean, it's only going to be a difference of maybe 2 inch, nothing even visible from that height. Even the 6 inches at that height, you're really not going to see any difference. Just a clearer letter with the new font. That's really the main reason for going larger. It's just with the new font, it will be a much clearer read.
Thank you.
These are internally illuminated with LED. I've been to the site to look at the current condition of the wiring. It comes out in the drop ceiling above the 5th.
4th floor.
Set?
Yep.
All right. I just had a quick question. Do you know what the lumens per square foot is? I didn't see it on the plans.
Lumens per square foot?
We just typically require that it be less than 90 lumens per square foot.
I can definitely say that while they're manufacturing it, and that's not a problem at all. They put the LEDs in when they're manufactured, so 90 lumens, less than 90 lumens per square foot, right?
Yes.
I can make a note of it and make sure that happens.
Okay, great, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here in the public that would like to speak in favor or against this proposal? Seeing none, we'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Anyone else have any other questions or motions?
Motion to approve the signage as advertised as shown. Do you have a plan on here? As shown on, where's the date? As shown on plan dated 3/15/2019, lumens not to exceed 75 per square foot.
90.
I'm sorry, 90 per square foot.
Yeah. I don't think we need to list the pages.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the sign for Qualcomm at 1 Wall Street with the condition of no more than 90 lumens per square foot. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. You're all set.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next step would be to have to wait a couple days for the paperwork to get over to building department before I can submit.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a bill date after the decision's been written.
Did you get that?
Okay.
And then
Downloaded it before.
Okay, so we will get notified. Great.
Thank you.
On the page, and then go to the thing from there. All right, the next item on our agenda is a new hearing for Cambridge Street. Adam, can you read that into the record for us, please?
Sure. The petition of Henley Enterprises, Inc., property located at 118 Cambridge Street, is shown on book page 51745-493, map number 35, parcel number 95-0 of the Burlington Assessors Map, to construct a single-story Valvoline instant oil change facility. The applicant is seeking a variance from the setback requirement of Article 5, Section 5.20. The building will set back off the sideline left east elevation 13.4 feet and off the sideline right west elevation 11 feet. And the dumpster pad is proposed along the sideline left east elevation 6.7 feet off the property line. The bylaw setback requirement for all of the above is 15 feet. In addition, the applicant is requesting a variance from the design and operations requirement of Article 8, Section 8.3.8.4, as 64.7% of the site may be impervious surface, and the bylaw requires no more than 60% of the site may be impervious, as shown on plans submitted June 20th, 2019, and a copy may be reviewed at the town clerk's office.
All right, hello, please give us an overview of the project.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Thomas Murphy, representing the applicant. With me at the table to my right is Ed Pesci, who's the project engineer, and further to the right is Randy Kazanian, who's the vice president for Healy Enterprises, which is the outfit that operates Valvoline oil change outfit. Before I get started, Mr. Chairman, I just want to let the board know some of the variances requested here dealt with setback of the building. I received an email this morning, actually, from the building inspector. Bylaw provides that if certain non-flammable, non-combustible materials are used in the construction, then there are no setback requirements involved in the BG district. And our architect had submitted all of the materials that were going to be used in this building to the building department for their review. And finally had a chance to look at them, and he sent me an email this morning confirming that they qualify under that rule, so therefore we'd be asking to withdraw without prejudice the request for variance for building setbacks, which were 2 side yard variance requests. So those won't be before you this evening.
Okay, so that's just for the building, right?
For the building, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So having said all that, Mr. Chairman, I think you're all familiar with the property. It's located at 118 Cambridge Street, across from the high school football field up on the hill. For years, it was a gas station, operated for most of those years by the Harrington family. The past few years, it's been an automobile repair facility. I think it was called Paul's Auto. So I think if everybody's familiar with the site, my client is looking to knock down the existing building, construct a new building, and operate. It ultimately would be a Valvoline auto change, things of that nature, kind of like a Jiffy Lube or one of those types of facilities. We've had some preliminary meetings with the planning board staff about it, got some positive feedback there. We have some ongoing discussions with the conservation staff about some issues. There's been a spill there over the years, so that has to be accounted for. But before we go on to the next step with the site plan approval with those boards, we need to address the couple of variances that are now before you. One of them is for a dumpster. Typically, a non-permanent structure doesn't need a variance if it's located too close to the property line, but we do show on the site plan it's going to be a pad with a fence around it, so to be on the safe side, we're requesting a variance for that. And the other one was impervious surface. This property is located in a water resource district, and under the bylaw, not more than 60% of the site can be impervious. As you can see by the submitted plan, we'd be at 62.7, I believe it was, %. However, I would make a point of, if you also look at the same grid on the plan, the existing structure and the existing use has 82% impervious surface. So this is going to be a significant increase in the landscaping and that type of area. So even though we do need a relatively small variance for that one, it's a significant improvement over what's currently there. With respect to the criteria under a statute to award a variance, the board has to make sure that this is not going to substantially derogate from the intent of the bylaw. The two bylaws that we're asking for relief here, the main one is the impervious surface, and I would submit, as I just mentioned, that this is actually going to be a great increase in going towards the intent of that bylaw, going from 82% down to 63% or whatever it was. I will submit it does not cause a substantial detriment to the public good. Personally, I think it's a benefit to the public good. The current site, I think everybody would agree, is kind of run down. The building's been there for a long time. It's not very attractive. With the use that's been there, there's typically automobiles on the lot that are in the process of being repaired or waiting to be repaired. And this is one of the, I would argue, one of the gateway properties coming into Burlington Town Center if you're coming from 128 on Route 3A. So to have the opportunity to redo the site, get a new building in there, get some nice landscaping in there, and all of the other accoutrements that go with a new development or a redevelopment, I think is a great benefit to the town. And as far as the hardship goes, this is a grandfathered lot. It's a grandfathered use on the lot. The size of the lot is such that it was somewhat restricted by what you can do there and what you can put up there. So, again, for the dumpster, if we didn't have a pad, I would suggest that we wouldn't even need a variance for this, but there's going to be a fence constructed along the property line, so the property owner on the other side won't be able to see the dumpster anyway. And for, like I said, the only other variance we're looking for is the impervious surface. Submit, this is going to be a great improvement as far as that over current existing. Ed here is available to answer any specific questions about the site, the layout, the percentages, things of that nature. He here certainly knows about the business, and happy to answer any questions the board might have there. But that essentially, Mr. Chairman, is the relief that we're looking for, just those two items, a setback on the dumpster and impervious surface over 60%.
All right, thank you. Jim, any questions?
Can you just point out on the plan where the dumpster is placed? Okay.
So for the record, I'm Ed Pesci of Pesci Engineering. So on the plan that was submitted to you is here, and on this site plan, which I brought with me so you could see what we're proposing, it is right here. So it is the best place for a dumpster truck to come in, pick up the waste, back up, turn around, and go out. So it's the best location. Should we put it somewhere else, we'd lose a parking space, and we're trying to maintain a number of parking spaces. There is an existing fence along the property line that's there now, and it's the back side of a building. It's not frontage of a building, it's not the front side, it's the back side of a building. So I would submit to the board that it's certainly inconsistent with the use that's there today. But again, that's the best location for that dumpster pad to be operationally.
Jim?
I'm done.
Brenda?
Do you intend to keep the fencing back there, where the existing fence is?
So the existing, it's a chain link fence.
Yeah.
We're talking about either beautifying that with some slat, plastic slat privacy type treatment, or a whole new fence altogether, but they haven't decided that yet.
Just curious, what's the use of the property behind that lot, at lot 94?
I don't know. I remember being there, taking pictures, and I just don't remember what that business is.
It's commercial.
It's commercial, it's not residential.
Maybe automotive.
I'm sorry?
It's automotive related, yeah.
Maybe automotive.
I just don't remember.
Yeah,
It's an auto body shop.
I was gonna say, there's an auto body shop on the street, I just remember if that was where it was.
It's either that or Murphy's Construction Company. That's
I think it's a body shop.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the dumpster. I think, the only thing that I would say is if we approve that it would only be for the use of a dumpster. We would never be able to put small building or anything along those lines there. Other than that, I don't have any other questions or comments. Thank you.
Okay?
John?
Yeah, I'm still puzzled by why you even need the variance. I mean, if you're not putting a roof over it, I don't understand why you even need it.
It was one of those better safe than sorry, John. It just said, the bylaw refers to buildings or structures. It refers to an enclosure, there's gonna be a pad. I didn't want anybody trying to say that that's somehow, because the pad has a permanency to it, while the dumpster doesn't. Talked to the building inspector about it, he was non-committal, but he probably would agree with you. But the way that I looked at it was better safe than sorry.
He doesn't agree with me too much. So could you just talk to me a little bit about the landscaping, which I love, because there's no landscaping there now.
Right.
So any landscaping we get is a positive for Burlington.
So there's a very large tree in the corner. We're intending to maintain that large spruce tree there, fir tree. And then we're planning to put some clusters of shrubs and trees. Most of them are evergreen in nature, so they'll be nice and green all year round, even in the winter. So there's some planting beds, if you will, here at the entrances, along the side of the parking lot. So as you drive down Cambridge Street, I think Tom was very good to describe, this is another gateway property, as you mentioned. This will present itself much, much nicer and much more, I think, aesthetically pleasing than anything that's there now.
Most of those places have pretty nice landscaping wrapped around them. Like he says, I mean, the lot now, it's not exactly a pretty lot coming in.
This is my 13th Valvoline in Massachusetts that I've done for Henley Enterprises. They really do a nice job. They take care of the business very well. They understand that they're part of the community. They really care about making it look great.
I'm good.
Adam?
If you don't mind, I'll add a little bit to the dumpster. So the building is a red brick veneer building. The dumpster enclosure will actually be red brick veneer. So that may be the reason for the kind of permanency of the structure. So as opposed, it will obviously have chain link gates that have slats in them, but the balance of it will be red brick to match the building.
There won't be cars sitting in the parking lot overnight all weekend long.
So we offer oil changes and other fluid changes, as well as wipers, bulbs, that kind of nature. So if a customer would come in and have something mechanical in nature, we would help them if they needed to get the car towed. Otherwise, we'd ask them to go to, suggest they go to the dealership. So at the end of the day, for us, all our employees leave, the lot's clear, and there's just a small LED.
What are the hours of operation?
We typically are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and Sunday is 9 to 5.
I'm good.
And you may know, we have a store on Monvale Ave in Woburn. That store is about 16 years old. That's a red brick veneer store. And we have one in Arlington, which is 31 years old, which is right behind the police station. So if you wanted to get an idea of the reason we build with the red brick veneer, and that is to maintain curb appeal over the years.
Sure, that's great, thank you.
Adam?
No, yeah, I like the landscaping. I work on Montvale Ave and Woburn, so, yeah, I like it. Thank you.
All right, Tom, you mentioned the application says that the impervious is 64.7. You said 62.7?
I think I misspoke, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
The only reason it really caught my attention was because the building inspector's letter also said 62.7, so I just wanted to verify the number that we're talking about.
And maybe that's why I misspoke, maybe I've seen it there, but if you look on the chart, it goes with the site plan, it's at 64.7, and that's what I based my application on.
We did, if you'll forgive me,
It's a 64.7.
we did a couple of these versions, and it is 64.7.
Okay, all right,
And then an early one was 62, and that's what the building inspector happened to look at the time.
okay. Can you describe the need for the extra parking? I understand some of the spots are inside, but it seems like you could maybe lose a couple and get closer to your number for impervious. I know it's a big improvement on the site, but
We typically have a crew of 15 full and part-time employees. In this particular store, at peak service hours, we would typically have 8 people in the store. Now, certainly not all those people drive. Some of the young people are high school or college folks that get dropped off, and other people commute in other ways. But we did have a meeting with the planning department, and they were the ones with impetus to have as much parking as we could on the site. So we originally had the dumpster in a parking space in the corner of the lot.
So there are 9 parking spaces shown. So there's 7 on the back and 2 in the front. One of them is handicap accessible. So there's the 8 that covers it, basically, plus a handicap space for their typical peak, shift, but for 8 employees. But again, I can speak just like Randy has. Many of these, employee gets dropped off, a younger person gets dropped off by a coworker or friend or whoever, spouse and what have you. And so there's not, even with 8 people, there's not 8 vehicles there operating. So, but we needed to make sure we had enough to cover the peak shift, so that's the way it worked.
Okay, so prior to the planning board's request for more parking, how many parking spots would you have put there?
One less.
One less. And that's where the dumpster would have gone?
We shifted the parking on the back closer to the curb cut on the street.
Okay.
We had some more green spaces you turned in.
On the back of the building.
All right. My other question is on the width of the driveway coming in, it says 24 feet, but then from there, it seems to flare out in between the parking. Do you know what the dimension of that is? Does it need to flare out that much? Again, I'm just trying to reduce as much as possible.
You talking about here?
No, I'm talking about the entrance in on Cambridge Street.
Right.
Where you come in there is 24.
Row 24.
Right, but then when you're in like the parking field itself, it looks like it's much more than that.
So I wanted to have room for circulation, obviously, but also we wanted to have room to stack vehicles up in here that were safely, a good safe distance away from parking. So sure, I could shift another foot or 2 this way, but we wanted to have enough room to park vehicles, stack vehicles in line, customer vehicles going
Are
forward.
you talking about the radius of the curb cut?
No, I'm talking about where he's showing the cars that would,
Talking about this gap right
yeah,
here.
exactly.
Yeah, it needs for the, so sometimes what happens when folks come in, they'll queue up, they're greeted when they come online, and we'll ask folks to go. We keep the order so people get service in the order in which they came on site. So we sometimes have to adjust people to get them to the bay because someone asked for an additional service beyond an oil change. So we need a little bit of room to move folks around and keep it organized.
Done several of these, and this seems to work out well. Again, I could shorten it a foot, but this is the way we wanted to have it laid out.
Yeah, I mean, a foot's not gonna get you that much closer to the number. It looks like it's about 40 feet as compared to a standard drive aisle, which is about 24. And that's a big difference.
Well, right, but you got another parking space, if you want to call it that, plus or minus 20-foot circulation area, 22-foot circulation area in here to get the spaces.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to understand, how much of that you need versus the extra parking that you're requesting, because those are really almost more parking spaces now that you're talking about. So,
Well,
again, when you're asking for a variance, I'm trying to push it back.
Right, so we're a drive-through service, so folks don't get out of their cars. So that's
Okay.
why the stacking's so important to us, just to try to queue them up.
So they're the competitor to Jiffy Lube, or
Right.
if you were Henley, you'd say they're the competitor to Valvoline, okay? But in Jiffy Lube, you get there, you get out of the car, you wait in your waiting room till they're done. In Valvoline, it's an oil change, you never get out of your vehicle. You drive in, you sit in your vehicle, they bring over a cart with the workstation on it, they ask you for your services, boom, 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 they're doing all that service. You can get out and go to the bathroom if you want to, but you get in your car, you stay in your car, and you never leave. So these are for the employees, not for customers.
Okay.
That's why we don't have as many parking spaces as we normally would, because I can count these spaces as customer spaces as well, obviously, because they're being used that way.
If you've ever been to the location of Montville, you need all of those spaces, and maybe that's,
That's a very narrow site.
yeah.
It's deep. It's a deep site, but when you come in, it is a challenge at times when it gets busy. We wouldn't, unfortunately, I don't expect the store to be as busy as the Monvale store. It just happens to be in a commuter location. But we would expect this store to average 50 cars a day. In peak hours, we might service 9 cars. And it's a 15-minute service, so the time that you greeted and brought into the garage, it's about 15 minutes before you're done, paid for, and you drive away. So we differentiate ourselves from Jiffy Lube, which tends to be a 30 to 40-minute exercise of getting out of the car and going. And the other thing is Jiffy Lubes now do brakes and other stuff, so they do have cars in the bays all day or sometimes staying overnight because of parts.
All right.
One clarification I just want to make, Mr. Chair. We haven't met with the planning board, we just met with the planning staff, so I don't want
Okay.
any inference that we've been before the planning board yet, because that hasn't happened.
All right, okay. All right, that's all I have for now. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor or against? Please come up to the microphone and introduce yourself.
How you doing? My name is Mark Murphy. I have a family-owned property on 8 Edwards Road, and I'm concerned about the drive-through right here. How far is it from the garage to the corner of Edwards Road?
For 30 feet.
30 feet?
Well, that corner, it's more, but the closest corner is 3.5.
Okay, and how far away from Cambridge Street is the,
22 and 22, call it 23 feet.
well, cars are coming in to the property?
Right here.
On Tedwoods Road, and
No, cars cannot come in off Edwards Road.
I understand it, but when people are going up Edwards Road
Oh, right.
to the other businesses,
Right.
you know, sometimes somebody's not looking, could be a collision or something. People coming out of there, it's so close to the end of Edwards, Cambridge Street and Edwards Road. I think when a car or a truck comes in, there's big trucks coming. You know, somebody's got their, head, not thinking straight, coming out of there, it's gonna cause a major problem.
I don't know, I'll respond a little bit. So when a customer leaves our service, only one car at a time is guided out of the bay, even if they finish simultaneously. So one car would come out, would obviously be a stop sign at the end of the driveway. We'd expect that driver to exercise typical caution, look both ways before entering on it.
There's a clear line of sight to the entire intersection at Edwards Road. So there's no impediment to clear view, so you can proceed onto Edwards Road safely. If someone is turning onto Edwards Road, a truck or another vehicle, you'll clearly see that coming out of the building. So the problem doesn't exist in my opinion. I mean, it's certainly a concern on anybody traveling through a intersection to maintain some safety, but there's not a creation, we're not creating an impediment to sight line and sight safe distance at all.
Okay. One clarification too. I think you were asking the distance from Cambridge Street, and I think you said it was 21 feet. I think you're talking about the driveway distance. So that's probably more like 50 or 60 feet, correct? From the corner? Because 21 feet is the building.
Yes.
Correct. So to the upper corner, it's, to the center of that is all of, if not 60, 70, but I can scale it real quick if you'd like.
Well,
Yes, it's a
yeah,
lot
gives us an
more.
idea. It's not 21 feet
Right.
for what we're talking about. I hear your concerns there. It's, in a way, it's not our issue. It would really be a planning board issue, that discussion. They're not asking us about locations of curb cuts or anything like that. They're asking for variances on side setbacks and the amount of impervious that they have on the lot. I wouldn't think that there'd be a huge flow of traffic here, that it would be a major problem, but that's also just my opinion on that. But that would really be a concern when they'll have to go to the planning board for a site plan. That would be a concern to raise then. Not really something we can address here.
Any idea when they're going up to the planning board?
It won't be for another month or two. We have to wait for this. If we were successful here, then we file there. They're in summer schedule, probably not until September.
And there'd be another public notice that you would receive.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor or against this proposal? Seeing none,
Motion to close the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, before you close, can I just ask,
Yep.
typically, what I ask zoning boards to do when we're asking for such relief, especially for setback, unless you officially decree that setback for the dumpster is not required, that relief for that is not required, even though we're taking the belt and suspenders approach of being safe. I would ask that if you do vote to approve that, that you allow me to go to 6 feet or 6.2. Give me 6 inches, because the contractor sometimes varies a little bit, and I don't want him to be at 6 feet away, and now I don't comply. So if you give me a 6-inch window, 6.2 at least, or call it an even 6, I'd appreciate it.
The only thing, we advertised it at 6.7, and we can't approve something for less than what was advertised for.
Okay?
If you,
I wasn't aware that you
if it was,
could do that.
if it was more, then we could adjust the number. If you wanted to go to 7, I could do that, but I can't go less because that's how it was advertised.
Very well.
All right. Okay, we have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second? Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Anyone else have any other questions or comments on this?
Motion approve, where do we start? Motion to approve the variance at 6.
Sorry. Yeah, we'll have to split them and withdraw the other side.
Okay, so how do you want to do that? So,
We'll have to make a motion to split the 2 building side setbacks that they requested, and then a separate motion to,
so it would be 3 separate, because there's 3 separate events. There's the dumpster, then there's the setbacks for the building, and then there's the impervious surface.
we could split the 2 setbacks for the building off as one.
Okay.
And withdraw them both.
Okay.
And then the other 2 remaining, we could vote on together unless someone felt the need to split them.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right, so we want to make a motion to split the setbacks, the building setbacks from the impervious surface request and the dumpster request.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to split the building setback request from the dumpster and impervious surface request. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. So now we need a motion to withdraw without prejudice.
Motion to withdraw without prejudice.
The setbacks.
Setbacks.
Building setbacks.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to withdraw the building setbacks without prejudice. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the variance for the dumpster at 6.7 feet from the perimeter of the lot as shown on plans dated June 10th, 2019. And also to approve the impervious surface stated at 64.7 as also shown in plans dated June 10th, 2019.
Can I just, before a second, if the board's in favor with the condition that the materials be as described, the red brick to match the building for the dumpster enclosure
Okay.
as a condition?
Yep, the condition would be as, I'm sorry, you said red brick. The red brick is matching the primary building
Second.
condition.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the side setback for the dumpster of 6.7 feet from the property line and the impervious surface to be 64.7% as shown on the plan submitted, with the condition that the dumpster enclosure be a red brick to match the primary building. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Just for clarification, the gates will be chain
Chain
link
link.
with
Yeah, the
slats.
gate, he said that, the gates will be changed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our July 2nd meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Take a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes for July 2nd meeting.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve our meetings of July 2nd, 2019. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Meeting adjourned.